Dr. Sarah Chen pushed her glasses up her nose and stared at the readings on her computer screen. Something was wrong with the numbers, but she could not figure out what. The research station Curiosity floated quietly in space far from Earth, while her team worked on their latest experiment. "Mike, can you check the power levels again?" Sarah called out to engineer Mike Rodriguez, who was crawling under a control panel with a wrench in his mouth. "Everything looks good from here, Doc," Mike replied, his voice muffled. "The quantum communication array is running at normal levels," Sarah frowned. They had been testing their new faster-than-light communication device for 3 months. The machine was supposed to send messages across space instantly, but so far it had only managed to send static. Today felt different, though. The energy readings were higher than usual. "Rosa, how are the power conduits looking?" Sarah asked the maintenance chief, Rosa Martinez, who was checking a wall panel. "All green lights, Sarah, but I'm seeing some weird energy spikes. Nothing dangerous, just odd," Rosa said, tapping the panel with her finger. Sarah nodded and turned back to her screen. The test was scheduled to begin in 10 minutes. She had spent 5 years working on this project, and today might finally be the day it worked. She took a deep breath and started the countdown sequence. "Beginning test sequence in 5 minutes, Sarah announced over the station's intercom. "All crew to stations." The small research team of 12 people moved to their positions. They had done this test hundreds of times before. Sarah expected another failure, but she hoped for success. Science was about trying again and again until something worked. 3 minutes to test, Sarah called out. Mike crawled out from under the panel and wiped his hands on his coveralls. "Doc, I'm seeing some unusual readings in the dimensional field generators." "Nothing bad, just different." "Different how?" Sarah asked, not looking up from her preparations. "Like they're resonating with something." "Something big," Mike said, scratching his head. Sarah finally looked up. "Big how?" Before Mike could answer, Rosa's voice came over the intercom. "Sarah, you need to see this. The energy levels just jumped by 300%. Sarah ran to Rosa's station. The readings on the screen showed energy spikes unlike anything they had ever seen. The numbers were climbing rapidly, but all the safety systems showed green. "Should we abort?" Rosa asked, her finger hovering over the emergency stop button. Sarah studied the readings. "Everything looks safe, just much more powerful than expected." "No, let's continue. This might be exactly what we need for a breakthrough." She returned to her station and began the final countdown. "Test beginning in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activating array." Sarah pressed the activation button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire station hummed with energy. The lights flickered and every screen in the room lit up with data. The quantum communication array began to glow with a soft blue light. Suddenly there was a sound like reality tearing. The space in front of the station seemed to bend and twist. Sarah watched in amazement as a hole opened in space itself, revealing star patterns she had never seen before. Doc," Mike said slowly. "I don't think we're testing communication anymore." Through the tear in space, massive shapes began to appear. Ships. Enormous ships unlike anything humans had ever built. They were made of some kind of crystal material that reflected light in beautiful patterns. Sarah counted at least 20 vessels, each one larger than their entire research station. "Oh my," Sarah whispered. "I think we've made contact." The alien ships moved into formation around the human station. Sarah could see smaller craft launching from the larger vessels, heading directly toward them. Her heart raced, but not with fear. This was the greatest scientific discovery in human history. "Rosa, are you recording everything?" Sarah asked excitedly. "Every sensor we have is running, Sarah." "We're getting incredible data," Rosa replied, her voice filled with wonder. One of the alien ships was particularly impressive. It was easily 10 times the size of their station, with towers and structures that looked both beautiful and functional. Sarah could see lights moving across its surface, probably communications between different parts of the ship. Mike walked up beside her, still holding his wrench. "Doc, should we be worried?" "I mean, they have really big guns on those ships." Sarah looked more closely. Mike was right. The alien vessels had what looked like weapon systems, but she was more interested in their engineering. "Look at their energy efficiency, Mike. And those hull designs are fascinating. I wonder what materials they're using." A new voice came over their radio, speaking in a language they did not understand. The voice sounded stern and commanding. Sarah grabbed her microphone and responded in English. "Hello, this is Dr. Sarah Chen of the Human Research Station Curiosity. We seem to have accidentally opened some kind of dimensional gateway." This is wonderful. Are you available for first contact protocols? We have coffee. There was a long pause. Then the alien voice spoke again, this time in broken English. Human vessel, you have entered Imperial space without permission. Prepare for boarding and surrender. Sarah blinked. Imperial space? How interesting. We had no idea there was an empire out here. We're just doing communication research. Would you like to see our data? I think you'll find our dimensional manipulation techniques quite innovative. Another pause. Sarah could hear what sounded like multiple alien voices having a heated discussion in the background. Mike leaned toward the microphone. Hey, if you're coming over, could you tell us about those energy systems you're using? They look really efficient. I'm an engineer and I love seeing new tech. Rosa joined them at the communication station. And we'd love to know about your materials science. Those hull designs are incredible. The alien voice came back, sounding confused. You're not afraid? Afraid? Sarah laughed. This is the most exciting day of my career. We've discovered faster-than-light travel, made contact with an alien civilization, and found an entire galactic empire. Why would we be afraid? This is amazing. But we have superior weapons. Superior technology. You should surrender immediately. Sarah looked at Mike and Rosa, who both shrugged. Well, Sarah said into the microphone, I suppose if there are forms to fill out for entering Imperial space, we'd be happy to handle that. But first, would you like to come aboard for coffee and discuss a potential research exchange program? We have so many questions. The alien communication channel went quiet. Sarah could imagine the confusion on their ships. She turned to her crew, who were all grinning with excitement. People, we've just made first contact with an alien empire, Sarah announced. Let's make sure we record everything and prepare for visitors. Rosa, start a fresh pot of coffee. Mike, get the good chairs out of storage. Everyone else, gather all our research data. We're about to have the most important scientific meeting in human history. As the alien ships continued to surround them, Sarah Chen could not stop smiling. They had accidentally discovered faster-than-light travel and an entire galactic civilization in one day. She wondered what other amazing discoveries were waiting for them in this new universe they had stumbled into. The day had started as a simple communication test. It was turning into the adventure of a lifetime. Admiral Vextar stood in the transport bay of his flagship, adjusting his ceremonial armor for the third time. In his 400 years of service to the Caltharian Empire, he had never encountered a situation like this. The primitive aliens had somehow torn through space itself, appeared in the middle of his patrol fleet, and then invited him for coffee. Admiral, his aide, Lieutenant Kethmore, approached nervously. The boarding party is ready. Should we bring the surrender documents? Vextar's 4 eyes narrowed. The humans had already violated every first contact protocol he knew. They should have been terrified. They should have immediately surrendered when faced with the might of the Imperial Third Fleet. Instead, they had asked questions about Imperial technology and offered refreshments. Bring the documents, Vextar decided, but also bring the translation devices. These humans seem unusual. The transport shuttle carried Admiral Vextar and 5 other Caltharian officers to the human station. As they docked, Vextar could hear strange sounds coming from inside the station. Music, laughter. The aliens were having some kind of celebration. The airlock opened and Dr. Sarah Chen stood waiting with a huge smile on her face. She was holding a steaming cup in her hands and wore clothing that looked casual and comfortable. Behind her, other humans were setting up tables and chairs. Welcome aboard the Curiosity, Sarah said cheerfully. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, the mission leader. You must be Admiral Vextar. We heard your name on the communications. Please come in. We've prepared coffee and sandwiches. Admiral Vextar stepped forward, his armor clanking with each step. He was nearly 8 feet tall with gray skin and 4 arms. His appearance had frightened countless species across the galaxy. Dr. Chen looked up at him with the same excitement she might show when meeting a new colleague. Your armor is fascinating, Sarah continued, walking beside the Admiral as if escorting an old friend. The metal composition looks incredibly advanced. Is it a titanium-based alloy? And those joints must be powered somehow. The engineering is beautiful. Vextar stopped walking. No one had ever called his battle armor beautiful before. Human. Chen, I am here to discuss your surrender to the Caltharian Empire. Oh, absolutely, Sarah nodded. We definitely want to discuss our situation, but first let me show you around. This is our main lab area, and over there is Mike working on our dimensional array. Mike, come meet Admiral Vextar. Engineer Mike Rodriguez looked up from a control panel and waved. His hands were covered in grease and he had a friendly grin on his face. Hey there, Admiral. Welcome to the Curiosity. I've been looking at your ships through our sensors, and I have to say, your energy distribution systems are impressive, though I noticed some inefficiencies in your power routing that we might be able to help with. Lieutenant Kethmore whispered to Admiral Vextar in their native language. Sir, the human engineer is critiquing our technology. I can hear that, Vextar replied, equally confused. Mike wiped his hands on a rag and approached the group. I hope you don't mind me saying, but your main ship's hull configuration could be about 15% more efficient if you adjusted the energy flow patterns. Want me to show you on our computer? Admiral Vextar had conquered 47 star systems. He had faced the greatest warriors in the galaxy. He had never been offered technical advice by aliens who were supposed to be surrendering to him. Rosa Martinez appeared from around a corner, carrying a coffee pot and wearing a tool belt. Admiral, right? I'm Rosa, Chief of Maintenance. Your ships are gorgeous, but I noticed some stress fractures in your number 3 vessel's support beams. Nothing dangerous right now, but you might want to check those before your next long journey. You have been scanning our ships? Vextar asked. Oh yes, Sarah said happily. We've been taking readings since you arrived. The data is incredible. We've learned so much about Imperial technology already. Would you like to see our preliminary analysis? Before Vextar could answer, Sarah was leading the group to a large screen covered with charts and diagrams. She began pointing to different sections with obvious excitement. Your faster-than-light drive systems are based on space-time compression, which is brilliant, but our dimensional manipulation approach might be more energy efficient. And your communication systems use quantum entanglement, which we've been working on too. We could probably improve the range by about 30% with some modifications. Admiral Vextar stared at the screen. The humans had analyzed Imperial technology in just a few hours and had already found ways to improve it. This was impossible. The Caltharian Empire had the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Please, sit down, Sarah said, gesturing to the chairs her crew had arranged. Let's have coffee and discuss how we can work together. Vextar sat down carefully, his armor making the chair creak. Dr. Chen handed him a cup of coffee, and he sniffed it suspiciously. The smell was strange, but pleasant. Now, Sarah said, settling into her own chair. You mentioned something about surrender. I assume there are procedures we need to follow for entering Imperial space? We're happy to fill out any paperwork. We had no idea there was an empire out here. Paperwork? Lieutenant Kethmore whispered. You do not understand, Admiral Vextar said slowly. You have trespassed in Imperial space. You must submit to Imperial authority. You will become subjects of the Empire. Sarah nodded thoughtfully. I see. And what does that involve exactly? Are there taxes, regulations we need to follow? We're primarily a research mission, so we'd want to make sure we can continue our scientific work. You are not afraid? Vextar asked. Should we be? Mike asked, genuinely curious. I mean, you seem like reasonable people. We accidentally ended up here. You have legitimate concerns about us being in your space, so we should work something out. That's just good diplomacy, right? Rosa poured coffee for the other Caltharian officers. Besides, this could be great for everyone. We share our research, you share yours. Everybody learns something new. We're always happy to help with engineering problems. Admiral Vextar took a sip of coffee. It was actually quite good. He looked around the room at the humans who were all smiling and treating this first contact like a neighborhood meeting. His officers were looking just as confused as he felt. In the history of the Empire, Vextar said carefully, no species has ever responded to Imperial authority by offering technical assistance. Really? Sarah looked surprised. That seems like a missed opportunity. I bet there are lots of species out there with useful knowledge. You should start a research exchange program. A research exchange program, Vextar repeated. Absolutely. Think about it. You have access to hundreds of different species, each with their own unique approaches to science and engineering. Pool all that knowledge together, and you could make incredible advances. Mike nodded enthusiastically. And we could help you optimize your existing systems while we're at it. I'm already seeing at least a dozen ways to improve efficiency across your fleet. Lieutenant Kethmore leaned toward Admiral Vextar. Sir, what should we do? This situation is not covered in any of our protocols. Admiral Vextar looked at his coffee cup, then at the humans who were eagerly waiting for his response. In 3 hours, these aliens had analyzed Imperial technology, found ways to improve it, offered to share their own advances, and suggested creating a galaxy-wide research collaboration. I need to contact High Command, Vextar said finally. Of course, Sarah said. Take all the time you need. While you're talking to them, we'll prepare a presentation on our dimensional manipulation techniques, and maybe Rosa can draft some preliminary suggestions for fleet maintenance improvements. As Admiral Vextar and his officers returned to their ship, he could hear the humans already making plans for their presentation. For the first time in his long military career, Vextar was completely unsure of what to do next. Sir, Lieutenant Kethmore asked as they entered their transport, are we really going to tell High Command that the humans want to help us improve our technology? Admiral Vextar looked back at the human station, where Dr. Chen was waving goodbye from a window. Lieutenant, I think High Command needs to see this for themselves. Emperor Zethkol sat on his crystal throne in the heart of Calthera Prime, reading Admiral Vextar's report for the 3rd time. The massive throne room was built to impress visitors with the power and glory of the Empire. Golden pillars stretched up to a ceiling painted with scenes of Imperial victories. Today, however, the Emperor was more confused than glorious. Read this part again, the Emperor commanded his aide, pointing to a section of the report. The humans have offered to improve our fleet efficiency by 15% and suggested creating a galaxy-wide research exchange program. The aide read aloud. They have also invited Imperial scientists to participate in coffee and science meetings every Tuesday. Emperor Zethkol, ruler of 847 worlds and master of the greatest empire in galactic history, rubbed his temples. Coffee and science meetings? Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. Admiral Vextar reports that the humans serve a beverage called coffee during their scientific discussions. He says it is quite pleasant. The Emperor stood and walked to the great window overlooking his capital city. Millions of aliens from hundreds of species lived and worked in the towers below, all serving the Empire. In his 3,000 years of life, Zethkol had built this empire through strength, fear, and superior technology. No species had ever offered to help him improve it. What else does the report say? The Emperor asked. The humans appear to treat Imperial authority as a minor bureaucratic matter. They have asked for the proper forms to fill out for entering Imperial space. Dr. Chen has also requested permission to conduct scientific surveys of nearby systems. Scientific surveys, the Emperor repeated. They want to study my empire. It appears so, Your Majesty. But Admiral Vextar notes that their preliminary analysis of Imperial technology was remarkably accurate. The humans identified several design improvements that our own engineers had not discovered. Emperor Zethkol turned back to his aide. Send a message to the Science Academy. I want our best researchers to review the human data. If these aliens truly have superior technology, I need to know about it. Meanwhile, back at the research station Curiosity, Dr. Sarah Chen was having the time of her life. Word of the humans had spread throughout the local systems, and new alien ships arrived every day. What had started as a simple research mission had become an unofficial diplomatic hub. Sarah, we have visitors from the Zephyrian Trade Collective, Rosa announced, checking her schedule. They want to discuss human manufacturing techniques. Wonderful, Sarah replied, not looking up from her latest experiment.
Schedule them for Thursday.
Are the Vorthon researchers still coming tomorrow? Yes, they're very excited about human problem-solving methods. They've brought samples of their own technology to share, Sarah smiled. In the past week, they had met representatives from 6 different alien species. Each group seemed more interested in collaboration than conquest. The humans were learning incredible things about galactic civilization, and apparently the aliens were learning from them too. Mike poked his head out from under a control panel. Doc, the Caltharian engineers want to know if you can explain that dimensional folding technique again. They're having trouble with the math. Of course. I'll add it to tomorrow's presentation, Sarah said. How are the ship repairs going? Great. The Caltharians are letting me work on their number 3 vessel. Rosa was right about those stress fractures. We should have it fixed by tomorrow. Rosa looked up from her computer. Speaking of fixes, the Zephyrians asked if we could look at their cargo transport systems. They're having efficiency problems. This is wonderful, Sarah said, beaming. We're learning so much, and we're helping our new friends solve problems. Science at its best. Unknown to the humans, their casual helpfulness was causing major changes throughout the local region. Species that had been trading with the Empire for centuries were suddenly interested in human solutions to old problems. Several alien governments had sent formal requests to meet these remarkable humans who treated galactic-level challenges like everyday puzzles. On the Caltharian flagship, Admiral Vextar was dealing with a situation he had never imagined. Half of his officers were attending Dr. Chen's daily science meetings. His chief engineer had started using human modifications to improve ship performance. His communications officer was learning English so he could better understand human technical manuals. Admiral, Lieutenant Kethmore reported, the humans have asked if they can help us optimize our hyperspace navigation systems. And what did you tell them? Vextar asked. I told them yes, sir. Their dimensional manipulation expertise could improve our jump accuracy by significant margins. Admiral Vextar nodded. Over the past week, he had stopped trying to treat the humans as conquered aliens. They were clearly too valuable as allies to waste as prisoners. Any word from High Command? Emperor Zethkol is sending a personal representative. Someone very important, but they won't say who. When? Tomorrow, sir. The next day, a massive Imperial dreadnought emerged from hyperspace near the human station. The ship was 5 times larger than Admiral Vextar's flagship, built for intimidation and destruction. Its arrival should have terrified any species in the galaxy. Dr. Chen watched the enormous vessel through the station's main window with obvious delight. Look at that engineering. The power systems alone must be incredible. I wonder if they'd let us take some readings. Mike joined her at the window. That's got to be the biggest ship we've seen yet. The energy management for something that size must be a real challenge. I bet they have some fascinating solutions to structural integrity problems too, Rosa added. A ship that big probably has some innovative internal support systems. The dreadnought's communication system activated, and a new voice spoke. This one was different from Admiral Vextar's officers. It sounded older, more commanding, and very serious. Human vessel, this is Lord Commander Thysek, personal representative of Emperor Zethkol. Prepare to receive an Imperial delegation. Sarah grabbed her microphone. Lord Commander, welcome to the Curiosity. We're honored to meet a representative of the Emperor. We've prepared our best presentation materials, and Rosa just made fresh coffee. We have so many questions about Imperial administration and technology. There was a long pause before the Lord Commander responded. You have questions for me? Oh yes. We've been learning so much from Admiral Vextar and his crew. But we'd love to understand how the Empire manages such a vast territory. The logistics alone must be incredible. How do you coordinate communications across hundreds of systems? And the resource management. We have some ideas that might help with efficiency. Another pause. You have ideas to help the Empire? Definitely. We've been analyzing the data from our new friends here, and we've identified several areas where optimization could improve overall performance. Would you like to see our preliminary reports? Lord Commander Thysek had served the Empire for 2,000 years. He had crushed rebellions, conquered entire systems, and negotiated the surrender of countless species. He had never been offered a presentation on Imperial optimization by aliens who had been in Imperial space for less than 2 weeks. I will come aboard your station, the Lord Commander said finally. Excellent, Sarah replied. We'll have everything ready. Oh, and Commander, could you bring some technical specifications for your dreadnought? We'd love to learn about the engineering solutions for vessels of that size. As the communication ended, Lord Commander Thysek stared at his bridge crew. They all looked as confused as he felt. Sir, his aide asked quietly, should we prepare the surrender documents? Lord Commander Thysek considered this. In his long experience, species either surrendered immediately to Imperial power, or they fought until they were crushed. The humans were doing neither. They were treating the Empire like a fascinating research subject and offering to help improve it. No, he said finally. Prepare our technical manuals. I think the Emperor needs to see this for himself. Captain Janet Torres stood on the bridge of the Earthship Endeavour, reading Dr. Chen's reports with growing amazement. As Earth's first xenodiplomat, Janet had prepared for many possible first contact scenarios. She had not prepared for her people to accidentally establish trade relationships with 6 alien species and somehow convince an Imperial fleet to adopt human engineering improvements. Captain, her communications officer called out, "We're receiving a transmission from the research station Curiosity." "Put it through," Janet replied, straightening her uniform. She had been chosen for this mission because of her military background and diplomatic training. She suspected she was going to need both. Dr. Chen's excited face appeared on the main screen. "Captain Torres, thank goodness you're here. We've made the most incredible discoveries. We've documented 7 different faster-than-light technologies, established cultural exchange programs with multiple species, and we're just about to meet with Emperor Zethkol's personal representative." "Dr. Chen," Janet said carefully, "I've read your reports. Are you aware that you've initiated unauthorized first contact with a galactic empire?" "Yes, wasn't that lucky?" Sarah beamed. "The scientific opportunities are endless, and the aliens are so helpful. They've been sharing data on everything from energy systems to agricultural techniques. Did you know the Zephyrians can grow food in zero gravity? It's fascinating." Janet closed her eyes for a moment. "Dr. Chen, what exactly is our current diplomatic status with this empire?" "Well, we're still working out the paperwork for entering Imperial space, but everyone's been very understanding. We've offered to help optimize their systems while we sort out the bureaucratic details. Admiral Vextar has been wonderful to work with." Before Janet could respond, alarms began sounding on the Endeavour. Her tactical officer looked up with concern. "Captain, massive energy signatures detected, multiple large vessels emerging from hyperspace." Through the bridge windows, Janet watched as enormous ships materialized around them. These vessels made the Imperial fleet near the research station look small. At the center of the formation, a ship larger than anything Janet had ever imagined slowly took position. It was easily 10 kilometers long, covered in weapons and gleaming with Imperial symbols. "Dr. Chen," Janet said quietly, "I think the Emperor has arrived." Sarah's face lit up even more. "Emperor Zethkol is here?" "Oh, this is wonderful. We've prepared such an interesting presentation for him. Captain, you should come over to the station. We're about to have the most important diplomatic meeting in human history." Janet looked at the massive Imperial dreadnought and made a decision that would surprise everyone involved. "Dr. Chen, I'll be right over, and I'm bringing our best presentation materials." 2 hours later, Captain Torres found herself sitting in the research station's main conference room, surrounded by alien dignitaries and human researchers. Dr. Chen had somehow convinced the representatives of 3 different species to attend what she called a cultural exchange lunch meeting. The door opened, and Emperor Zethkol entered the room. Janet had expected many things, but she had not expected the absolute ruler of a galactic empire to be wearing casual robes instead of battle armor. Emperor Zethkol was tall and elegant, with silver skin and intelligent eyes. He moved with the confidence of someone who had ruled for thousands of years, but his expression showed curiosity rather than arrogance. "Your Imperial Majesty," Dr. Chen said, standing up with a huge smile, "welcome to the Curiosity. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, and this is Captain Janet Torres, Earth's official diplomatic representative. We're so honored to meet you." Emperor Zethkol looked around the room. Human researchers sat next to alien diplomats, sharing food and discussing technical diagrams. Lord Commander Thisek sat at one end of the table, apparently in the middle of explaining Imperial logistics to an enthusiastic human engineer. "This is unusual," the Emperor said in perfect English. "Please sit down," Janet said, gesturing to a chair at the head of the table. "Dr. Chen has prepared a fascinating presentation on human-Imperial collaboration opportunities." The Emperor sat down, accepting a cup of coffee from Rosa Martinez. He had ruled an empire spanning hundreds of star systems, commanded fleets that could destroy planets, and controlled the destiny of billions of beings. He had never been served coffee by aliens who treated his arrival like a business meeting. "Your Majesty," Sarah began, activating a large display screen, "we've been analyzing Imperial systems and have identified several areas where human expertise might be beneficial. First, let's look at your communication networks. The screen showed a complex diagram of Imperial communication systems across dozens of star systems. Sarah pointed to various sections with obvious excitement. Your quantum entanglement communication is brilliant, but we've found ways to improve signal clarity by about 40%, and your hyperspace relay stations could be much more efficient with some modifications to their power distribution systems. Emperor Zethkol studied the diagrams. His own science advisors had worked on these systems for centuries. The humans had been in Imperial space for 2 weeks and had already found significant improvements. This is impressive, the Emperor admitted, but why are you offering to help us? What do you want in return? Janet leaned forward. This was the moment she had been preparing for. Your Majesty, we believe that cooperation benefits everyone. We'd like to propose a formal alliance between humanity and the Caltharian Empire. An alliance? The Emperor raised an eyebrow. You realize that your entire species could be conquered by a single Imperial fleet? Yes, Janet said calmly, but that wouldn't be very productive for anyone. Instead, we could work together. We share our technological improvements, you share access to your knowledge and resources, and everyone benefits. Mike looked up from the technical manual he was reading. Plus, Your Majesty, we've noticed some structural problems with your main dreadnought that could become serious if not addressed. We'd be happy to help with repairs. Emperor Zethkol blinked. You want to repair my flagship? It's got stress fractures in the main support beams, Rosa added helpfully. Nothing dangerous right now, but definitely something to keep an eye on. We could fix that in a few days. And while we're doing repairs, Sarah continued enthusiastically, we could implement some of our efficiency improvements. Your ship could be running at peak performance in less than a week. The Emperor looked around the table. His Lord Commander was nodding in agreement with the humans. Representatives from allied species were taking notes on human suggestions. His own officers were asking technical questions about human engineering techniques. In 3,000 years of ruling this empire, Emperor Zethkol said slowly, no species has ever offered to repair my flagship and improve my technology. Well, Janet said with a smile, we're probably the first species you've met who see problems as opportunities for collaboration rather than reasons for conflict. Yeah, Mike added. Most people get weird about authority and power. We just see systems that could work better with the right adjustments. Emperor Zethkol took a sip of coffee and considered his options. He could conquer humanity in a matter of days. But these strange aliens had already improved Imperial technology, established valuable relationships with allied species, and offered solutions to problems his own experts could not solve. Captain Torres, the Emperor said finally, what exactly are you proposing? Janet smiled. This was going better than she had dared hope. We propose a mutually beneficial partnership. Humanity provides technological and administrative consultation to the Empire. In return, the Empire provides protection, resources, and access to galactic civilization. Consultation? The Emperor repeated. Think of it as management consulting, but for interstellar empires, Janet explained. We help you optimize your systems, improve efficiency, and solve problems. You get a better running empire, we get to explore the galaxy and learn amazing things. Dr. Chen nodded enthusiastically, and the research opportunities would be incredible. Imagine what we could discover with access to Imperial scientific resources. Emperor Zethkol looked at Lord Commander Thyssek, who had been unusually quiet during the meeting. Commander, what is your assessment? Your Majesty, Thyssek said carefully. The humans have accomplished more improvement to Imperial systems in 2 weeks than our own engineers have managed in decades. Their suggestions are practical, effective, and remarkably innovative. And they offer these improvements freely? They seem more interested in learning and helping than in personal gain, Your Majesty. Emperor Zethkol stood up and walked to the window, looking out at his massive fleet. For 3 millennia, he had maintained his empire through strength and fear. These humans were suggesting something completely different. Cooperation based on mutual benefit. Captain Torres, he said finally, I accept your proposal, but I have one condition. Of course, Your Majesty. What can we do for you? Emperor Zethkol turned back to the group with something that might have been a smile. I want to see these efficiency improvements you keep mentioning. If you can truly make my empire run better, then we have an agreement. Dr. Chen jumped up excitedly. Oh, this is going to be wonderful. We have so many ideas. 6 months after first contact, Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the main laboratory of the Galactic Scientific Collaborative, watching her team work alongside alien researchers from 12 different species. The facility was built into a massive space station orbiting Calthera Prime, designed with both human and Imperial technology. It was beautiful, efficient, and completely unlike anything that had existed before. Sarah called Dr. Kexthul, a Zephyrian physicist. The dimensional stability tests are complete. Your folding technique works perfectly with our energy amplification systems. Excellent, Sarah replied, hurrying over to examine the results. Have you tried combining it with the Vorthon temporal calculations? We're running those tests tomorrow. Dr. Milreen thinks we might achieve stable micro-wormholes for instant communication. Sarah grinned. 6 months ago, she had been testing simple faster-than-light communication. Now she was part of a galactic research consortium that was revolutionizing space-time physics. The scientific advances had been incredible, but that was not even the most interesting part of her day. Dr. Chen, her assistant announced, "You have a call from Captain Torres." Sarah walked to her office, where Captain Janet Torres appeared on the communication screen. Janet was sitting in what looked like the most organized office in the galaxy, surrounded by charts, schedules, and efficiency reports. "Sarah, how are the research projects going?" Janet asked. "Wonderfully. We've made breakthrough discoveries in dimensional physics, energy manipulation, and biological engineering. The collaborative approach is working better than anyone expected. How are things in the administrative sector?" Janet smiled. "Better than I ever imagined. The Imperial efficiency reforms are showing remarkable results. Communication lag between systems is down by 60%. Resource distribution has improved by 40%, and citizen satisfaction ratings are at historical highs." "That's amazing. Any problems with the integration process?" "Just the usual growing pains. Some of the older Imperial administrators are still adjusting to the idea of optimization over tradition, but Emperor Zethkul has been very supportive of the changes." Sarah nodded. The transformation of the Caltharian Empire had been the most unexpected result of their accidental first contact. What had begun as a simple diplomatic arrangement had evolved into a complete reorganization of how galactic civilization operated. "Oh," Janet added, "the Emperor wanted me to tell you that the new research stations are ahead of schedule. We should have 12 more facilities operational within the year. That's wonderful news. The more research capacity we have, the faster we can make discoveries that benefit everyone." After ending her call with Janet, Sarah returned to the laboratory. She found Mike Rodriguez working with a team of Caltharian engineers on what looked like a new type of spacecraft engine. "Hey, Doc," Mike called out. "Come look at this. We've figured out how to combine human dimensional folding with Imperial energy systems and Zephyrian materials science. This engine could revolutionize space travel." Sarah examined the design. The engine was elegant, efficient, and completely revolutionary. "Mike, this could reduce travel time between systems by 90%. And it's completely safe," added Engineer Vexinen, one of Mike's Caltharian colleagues. "The dimensional stress is distributed across multiple stability fields. Have you shown this to the Emperor?" Sarah asked. "We're presenting it to the Imperial Council next week," Mike replied, "along with the new manufacturing techniques Rosa's team developed." Sarah looked around the laboratory with satisfaction. Humans and aliens worked together on projects that would have been impossible for any single species to achieve. The collaboration had produced advances in technology, science, and social organization that were benefiting the entire galaxy. Meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace on Calthera Prime, Emperor Zethkul was reviewing reports from across his empire. The data showed improvements in every major category: efficiency, productivity, citizen satisfaction, and technological advancement. The human consultation program had exceeded his wildest expectations. "Your Majesty," his aide announced, "Captain Torres is here for your weekly meeting." Janet entered the Emperor's office, carrying her usual collection of reports and recommendations. Over the past 6 months, these meetings had become the most productive part of Zethkul's schedule. "Captain Torres," the Emperor said, gesturing to a comfortable chair, "what improvements do you have for me today?" "Several interesting developments, Your Majesty," Janet replied, settling into her chair. "The new communication protocols have reduced administrative processing time by another 15%. The resource allocation algorithms are working so well The three systems have reported surplus production, and the citizen feedback systems are providing excellent data for further improvements. Emperor Zethkol nodded. What about the expansion project? The integration of new species into the Empire is proceeding smoothly. Word has spread about the collaborative approach, and we're receiving requests for membership from species that were previously neutral or hostile. Because they want access to human consultation services? Partly, Janet admitted, but also because they see the benefits of our optimization approach. The Empire is becoming more attractive as a place to live and work. The Emperor stood and walked to his window, looking out over his capital city. The towers below showed signs of human influence. More efficient transportation systems, better energy distribution, improved communication networks. The city ran more smoothly than it ever had before. Captain Torres, the Emperor said thoughtfully, 6 months ago I commanded an empire through fear and military might. Today I run an empire that species want to join. How did this happen? Janet joined him at the window. You discovered something that humans learned long ago, Your Majesty. Cooperation works better than domination. When people want to help you succeed, you can accomplish incredible things. And your people are content with this arrangement. You could have demanded conquered territory or tribute. We're getting something much more valuable, Janet replied. We're learning, growing, and helping build something better than what existed before. That's worth more than any amount of territory. Emperor Zethkol smiled. I believe I understand why your species was not intimidated by imperial power. Why is that, Your Majesty? Because you saw it as an opportunity for improvement rather than a threat to be feared. At that moment, both of their communication devices activated. Dr. Chen's excited voice filled the room. Janet. Your Majesty, you need to see this. We've just detected another dimensional rift, and there are new alien ships coming through. Emperor Zethkol and Captain Torres looked at each other and began laughing. Should we be concerned? The Emperor asked. No, Janet replied, but we should probably prepare another presentation. 3 hours later, the new research station Serendipity found itself surrounded by ships from the Andromedan Confederation, a completely different galactic civilization. Dr. James Park, Sarah's replacement on the new station, stood at his communication console with the same excited expression that Dr. Chen had worn 6 months earlier. Hello, Dr. Park announced to the alien fleet. This is Dr. James Park of the Human Research Station Serendipity. We seem to have accidentally opened a dimensional gateway into your space. This is incredible. Are you available for first contact protocols? We have coffee. There was a pause, then a stern alien voice responded. Human vessel, you have violated Andromedan space. Prepare for inspection and interrogation. Wonderful, Dr. Park replied enthusiastically. We'd love to learn about Andromedan civilization. We have so many questions about your technology and social systems. Would you like to come aboard? We've prepared a presentation on dimensional manipulation techniques that you might find interesting. On the bridge of the approaching Andromedan flagship, Commander Zelthar stared at his communication officer in confusion. Did the humans just invite us for coffee and a science presentation? Yes, Commander. They seem excited to meet us. Commander Zelthar looked out at the human research station, then at the massive Caltharian Imperial fleet that had arrived as diplomatic escorts. The Imperial vessels were displaying friendly identification signals and appeared to be protecting rather than threatening the humans, Commander, his science officer reported. Preliminary scans show that the humans have somehow achieved stable dimensional manipulation with technology that appears relatively simple. This should be impossible. And the Imperial ships? They're using hybrid human Imperial technology that's significantly more advanced than our own systems. Commander Zelthar made a decision that would change the course of galactic history for the second time in 6 months. Open communications with the human station. Tell Dr. Park that we would be honored to attend his presentation. Commander? His aide asked quietly. Should we inform High Command? Commander Zelthar looked at the peaceful fleet of human and Imperial vessels, then at his own war-ready ships. He thought about the enthusiasm in Dr. Park's voice and the obvious friendship between humans and the previously feared Caltharian Empire. Yes, he said finally, but tell them to bring their best scientists instead of their largest fleet.